Namaste, beautiful family of light. This is Reverend Sharon Elizabeth, also known as Baba Sharone, at the Cosmic Center Spiritual Light, located in Sarasota, Florida. Welcome to our Facebook Live audience, as well as those that will see this later on. And we are now in the eternal now. And I also want to also mention, of course, our individuals and light workers that are on Zoom, as well as those that are presently here at the Cosmic Center Spiritual Light. So I'm really very excited to be here and to share with you something that I am incorporating, and I want to share it with others because it has to do, which has been my theme for quite some time now, about us waking up to who we truly are, which means that we really have to sort of really transcend into a higher vibrational rate, if you will, a fifth dimension or the higher part of ourselves to really see what's really going on in this reality bite over here, or to have at least a larger perspective of it. And one of the things that I am going to quote from the Gospel of Thomas, and I had mentioned before that I'm going to be doing a real deep dive into the Gnostic Gospels. I'm in preparation of doing it. I'm not there yet, but I would say definitely by the fall, I'm going to start a program with that. All these different things, and whatever you feel resonant to or draws to you, is like a little puzzle piece that you pick up along your own personal journey. So, really, for all of us, we are all each other's teachers and we are each other's students. We have our puzzle piece, and when we come together, that's when we all can see the higher vision, the higher wisdom, the higher story, if you will. So, one of the things, and for me, along my personal journey, okay, and I've done, great, works like, the Keys of Enoch and, Theosophy and Urantia and other huge pieces of work. And all of them have, you say, well, how do you reconcile all of this information? Well, you go to the ones that you feel most drawn to. That's number one, is your personal choice. If it feels good, there's not 100% anything because we're still in a world that can be corruptible. But what you do, you take these, golden nuggets that you receive along the way and you coordinate that into your own personal journey. And that's all of us together. We all converge into this one awakening, whichever path and whichever way you did it from this lifetime, past lifetimes. But there is a point that I understand to be a whole reconciliation of everything. So it doesn't matter whether, you may be a Buddhist or a Hindu or a Muslim or Christian or whatever, type of journey, religious, spiritual, cultural journey you may go on and just say, wow, these are different names because right now you may have an archetype of something that's called different things in different cultures or different languages. So, but I do understand as I can see it and sense it that there is a real conciliation of all these paths where it gets to a point where they all converge. They all come in this great alignment of things. So that is something that we want to be aware of. So with that, for me and where I am right now, that has really helped me and I feel will help many other people, again, which I've been saying for a very long time, those things that have been hidden are going to be revealed in the age of Aquarius. That's it. It's not just a personal journey, it's also a collective journey. It's also a cosmic journey. It's a big we're part of many different dynamics, okay, to bring us to this nexus point. And there is supposed to be an awakening. And I put that actually in my personal Facebook page. I think it was in 2020. It was before COVID. And I said, we are now entering the Great Awakening. I just kind of felt it. And, we're fast forward very quickly. And also something I posted that came up in my memories. And I said something like, the truth is going to be revealed. And I think I did that like in again, like 5 years ago or 6 years ago, well, a lot of truths are out there coming up that have been hidden that are now surfacing to the top. So these are exciting times. Years back, we're saying, oh, this is going to happen, it's going to happen, got to be prepared. And like, my gosh, it's happening currently right now. So we're witness to all of this. This is really amazing. But I want to share with you two quotes from the Gospel of Thomas, which is a Gnostic gospel. And there are he just has sayings. It's actually 114 sayings. It's not talking a story. It's just quotations of what the risen Jesus said, okay, according to the Gospel of Thomas. And one of the things it says from the very beginning is, whoever finds the meaning of these words will not taste death. Right on the very top. And these are like riddles. So it causes you to like, you can't just read it. You have to contemplate on these riddles, or what they call koans, that are designed to wake you up. So I do work with the Gospel of Thomas, and there's absolutely something to it. And then the other thing that the Gospel of Thomas, and what I want to talk about, is and one of the quotations from the Gospel of Thomas says, the seeker should not stop until he finds. The seeker should not stop until he finds. When he does find, he will be disturbed. I'm like, oh my gosh, what does that mean? After being disturbed, he will be astonished. Then he will rule over everything. So I'm going to repeat that again because I feel it's so profound. I've been wanting to find out exactly what this means. I've been, meditating and contemplating on this for a while. The seeker should not stop until he finds. Okay. But he does find, he will be disturbed. Okay. And after being disturbed, he will be astonished. Then he will rule over everything. So one of the things that I do talk about is the fact that we are in a world that I think we all can agree to say this is not the Garden of Eden, not the one that they say, everything is balanced and, everything is peaceful. This is not that. We're in another kind of world where Jesus also said that in this world, we're in the mixture. So we have both light and dark, okay? And of course, in the Hermetic principles, it does speak about the polarities. And in Kabbalah, ideally, we want to walk not the extreme of the polarities, but in the middle path. So there's a lot going on as we kind of find our way through our personal individual labyrinth, as well as the collective labyrinth. But one of the things that in our journey, I think at some point we realize that this, at least in my generation, that basically there is benevolence, and there is, okay, and there's support and love, but also there's not that. You look at the world and you're like, hear people's stories, and it's the complete opposite of something being benevolent. There's a lot of suffering, and there's heartache, and there's imbalance, and there's distortion. It's like, oh my gosh. And I know many, many decades ago, I did have whatever rose-colored glasses I did have on got knocked off by Thoth. He gave me the Book of Earth. He says, hey, this is what's really going on. And I just remember looking and being shocked, like, oh my God, what? Okay, now, so wherever you are on this journey of really kind of looking how things are on the broader scope, we can say, and why we're here as light workers, we're here what? To raise the vibration of the planet, because we understand that it needs some balancing, and it needs to go into a higher frequency of what? Light and unconditional love. We sense that, we know that, because that's really who we are. There's that part of us that's there, and we can sense it when it's not in the environment we may find ourselves in. And we are what? We want to try to do something about it in the way that we can. So one of the prayers I've started, and I did promise that I was going to share this, that I have started to incorporate, is where I got this from Inspiracy, this lady. I resonate to a lot of the things that she says, nothing 100%, but those things that I do, we all trigger each other again in our great awakening. But it was about taking your sovereignty and your control and remembering who you are. Okay. And to start thinking about, am I giving my power away? Am I just automatically doing things because I was told to do them? Then you begin to say, I wonder, am I indoctrinated? But then, and something just happened recently. What was so wonderful about the FIFA, the soccer that's going on right now, what's wonderful about it is that you have these young people from different countries coming to the United States, their countries have been propagandized them to say, oh, just taking out the very negative parts of the United States, and it's a dangerous place, and you got to be careful, and the people are mean. All right, so you had all these people from that perspective of what they think of America, not good, very negative. They come here in person and they experience the opposite. People are loving and caring and supportive and happy, and they felt so. If you go on YouTube, you will see that there's all these YouTubes of the participants of the soccer team talking about how their country had propagandized them and having a completely different perspective than how their experiences was in the United States. And I'm going to say that President Eisenhower did the People to People program. Why? And this was around the time I had my own personal great awakening on this level. He said the purpose of the People to People program was that for young people could meet other young people in other countries so they can foster peace because governments never will. Now, at that point in time, ladies and gentlemen, I still thought everybody wanted world peace. You know, yes, the end of a beauty pageant and world peace. So that was like, what? You mean not everybody wants world peace? So that was a great awakening. And with that understanding, okay, we come to understand what it is. And one of the things that I do love about the awakening is us now remembering who we are. We're not just a body. We're so much more than a body. We're our origins. Our origins aren't even on this plane. We come from the highest of aeons. Okay, we're made in the creation and the image of the Most High God. I've come to find out. Like if they have this story, if you remember that, I think in World War II, where you had a plane that landed in a more primitive, I forget the place, but it was very primitive, and the people never saw a plane before. And so seeing like this Thunderbird come down, and that was like, oh my gosh, okay, these are gods. And right away they're like this, right? Well, we can imagine that maybe at the Anunnaki. They come in with their flashy technology, and they can levitate or whatever it is that they're doing. And the hominids that are there, like, oh my gosh, these are gods, right? Gods with a small g. Gods with a small g. Okay, then we have to look, I guess, depending on what position we are, some other life form may look at us as, oh, you're so much more than me. You must be a god. Well, if that's happening on this level, remember the Hermetic as above, so below as above, that can happen on many layers. Okay, and I read the Gnostic prayer last week that says that we're aligned with what? The most High God, the Source God, the one creation, what the Gnostics calls the monad. Okay, but there's other different layers and levels of hierarchy, if you will, where you may say, okay, there's another little God, okay, that's calling themselves gods, okay, that may not be the God. All right, so there's a lot going on that everybody does their own research and kind of figure this out for yourself. But one of the things that I've started to do, and I did share last week, I would share this, is to really begin to remember who we are and our sovereignty. Okay, because you have to remember in these little bodies, we're so restricted. The light spectrum for our eyes and our ears is so limited. There's so much going on in the invisible realm that's beyond our perception, okay, than what we can see. But as we walk our path of light as we do our meditation, as we seek and follow our soul pulse, this begins, as Jesus said, in the mirror, first darkly, then later it starts to clear up. We're in the clearing up area. We're in the great awakening area. We're in the re-remembering area. We're in the age of the Holy Spirit. A lot is going on, and people are beginning to wake up like this and say, wait a minute. Okay, we just had disclosure. For us, old hat, we already know we're not the only ones in the multiverse. Okay, but for the masses, that might be like, oh my gosh, because they have been so programmed or indoctrinated a certain way. Okay, but energetically and otherwise, and there is a pull. Okay, we got to be alert. We cannot go to sleep at this time because there's an agenda that I may say is not so much a pro-humanity agenda versus the agenda where we ourselves organically have the ability to go through the ascension ourselves without technology or full technology. So there's two things beginning to come together in a competition type of situation. So in that journey, we have to remember who we are, and that's going to be where we say, I am a sovereign being, okay, and I'm taking charge of my own life. And I'm going to investigate everything myself because now, as I've mentioned, you could get the Library of Congress on your phone. Now, so many of the ancient works are now available for us to read. They discovered the Nag Hammadi, they've discovered the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Bruce Codex. There's so much ancient information that is now what? Surfing up that we can go the direct source itself and read it and come to our own conclusions. And that's important because we want to be, okay, are sovereign beings. And so I'm going to share with you because there is a competing influence that's out there. And that's why you have to be discerning of your thoughts and wondering, is this coming from me or is it coming from something else? How can I discern about something being positive and beneficial or something that is negative and malevolent? How can I tell? Something that picks you up, raises you up, makes you feel good, something that is pulling you down, depressing you, that's how you discern. So I now, and there's a lot of tricks out there, as above, so below. So there's different competing agendas on this level. There's other competing agendas on other levels. So there can be like, well, you agreed to this. No, I didn't. Well, you didn't say no. So one of the things, and this is so amazing that came to me like in my mind, and then I see it later. You think of something, then it comes up. And I said, who really reads all of that contract? Hi, we've updated our contract, or whether it's a phone or whatever, a new app, and it's reams and reams of information. No, I don't read it. I have to get to use it. I just click yes. Okay, but what are you saying yes to? And there's a lot of stuff that gets hidden in there because there is a divine directive. And the divine directive says that on some level you have to agree, known or unknown. So if you're saying, no, I do not agree to this, and you just go along with the program, it's sort of default set, you said okay. So there is a divine directive. We all now need to come to the awareness and consciousness of understanding exactly what the divine directive is out there. So this is the prayer that I do say. I incorporate it now into that, right? I say, by my sovereign authority of Ea Asha Ea, which means what? I am that I am. Okay, through the fact that I am part of the creation, I'm a source of the flame of the light of the Most High. I now cancel, collapse, and dissolve every contract, agreement, and energetic tie that was formed in confusion, fear, survival, or distortion. Anything that has had access to me without my full conscious consent is now revoked. Anything that has taken from me, fed on me, watched me, or interfered with my path loses access immediately. What is not mine is removed. What was taken is returned. And so, as I said, there's a lot of different things that are going on in the wider uh, awareness of things. And I already talked about it. I'm sure all of us have had different experiences. Okay. And I had a most recent one where, there was some energy wherever I found myself, trying to extract some energy from me. I caught them in the act and I said, I wasn't fearful. I said, oh, no, no, you don't. I'm aware. I'm awakened. I know what's going on. You got to stop because I said so. So anyway, if if somebody wants to get this prayer, what I'll do is this: just put it in, go to cosmiccenterosl@gmail.com and just say, hi, I'd like to get that prayer that Baba Sharone spoke for, and we'll see about getting it out to you. Okay, we love it if you could send us the prayer. Okay, just go ahead and just and send that to me, Catherine. Just like go to cosmiccenterosl@gmail.com and say, can you send the prayer that was shared in the anchoring light? Okay, and that goes for you on Facebook Live as well. Okay, so with that, I'm going to say namaste, beautiful family of light. We will see you next time.